Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Dentistry Unmasked. I am David Rice. I'm here with this one. You might know her.
Pam Maragliano Muniz. David, I'm so happy for today. We're still recording from SmileCon, which has been an amazing show for us, and we have two amazing guests.
Okay, so I truly don't say this lightly, that if you're a young dentist out there and you're looking for people to emulate who you want to be when you grow up, you either want to be Dr. ArNelle Wright or Dr. James Wanamaker.
Oh my goodness.
And that's a true story. I mean that. James, you've known me a long time. Like, that comes from a really good place for me. You two have fast-tracked your career, and everyone has a different definition of success, but I would say by all measures of success, you're both very successful. But we want to talk today about like things you've done differently than other people, and how you look at dentistry, how you look at life, how you look at the world. So, ladies first.
But I want you to start with, like, when did you graduate?
Yeah, give us your story.
What are you doing? Like, tell us, like, I don't want to hear where you are now. I want to hear, like, how you got
here.
Okay, yeah. See what I can do. So, hey, everybody. I'm Dr. ArNelle Wright. I practice here in Orlando, Florida, and I graduated from the University of Florida College of Dentistry in 2017. And I am a general dentist. And let's see, started off in dental school. Worked my way up, I guess, being in leadership in the state of Florida. In my local component, I started off as editor of our journal, and then made it to the NDC, which is the New Dentist Committee, and then now I am just running around recording content here at SmileCon.
That is interesting, and you said so many different things. So you've done a lot of different things. You said you're recording content.
Yeah.
Recording content for whom?
A little bit for myself and for the meeting. So we're just capturing some really special moments with the attendees here at SmileCon.
Awesome. What would you say is a highlight for you?
Ooh, I get adrenaline from it all. I really love it. But the highlights are some of the really special pockets. So like the wellness hub, there's a jump roping section over there that people may not know about. And just seeing everybody like super excited being here in the podcast booth, it's great.
Amazing. How about you, James?
So I'm Dr. James Wanamaker. I graduated from Buffalo in 2016. Met Dr. Rice 2014, 2015 time period. Back when I was a D2, D3. My trajectory really got started in ASDA is what kind of really fired me up for things beyond just clinical dentistry. The leadership path that you can have and the different hands you can have yourself into different parts of this dental profession to really just give yourself a more broad experience. And
so
being able to take that experience back to your patients, I find value from all the different things I'm involved with all help me clinically with my patients. But my trajectory after dental school, graduated in 2016 from Buffalo, then did a GPR residency in SUNY Upstate in the Syracuse VA. Became an associate at my current practice, which I then purchased in 2019, so 50-50 partner. And since then, I've been very involved with organized dentistry. I was the chair of the New Dentist Committee for New York State Dental Association, and then moved up to the big leagues at the NDC at the ADA, and I am the incoming vice chair of the ADA NDC committee. So I've had the pleasure of working with ArNelle for the last couple years.
This is interesting because I feel like a lot of young dentists get a lot of pressure, whether it's on themselves, and it's legitimate pressure about student loans and having to pay their debt down and having to work as much as they can so they can manage this debt and start to create a life. But both of you are contributing in a way that's bigger than your individual selves and something for the greater good. What inspired that?
So, I always found that our goal or our duty as professionals is to leave the profession in a better place than where we found it.
I love that.
Yep.
And there are mentors that came before us. For example, you, Dr. Rice, you've been one of my biggest mentors over the years. With Ignite, and having people like you to look to and say, you have success. How did you get there? And how can I emulate that and follow behind? So if you did that for me, then I feel like it's my duty to help the person behind me, because that's how we move the profession forward when there's so many outside forces that could make this profession go a much different path. So we have to be that guiding light forward.
And for me, I was always taught growing up that we stand on the shoulders of giants. So to your point, there's so many people who've come before us. And I feel like for me, I really want to hold that door open. I want to be a conduit. I want to help other people in their journey with leadership as well. So
you guys see legacy.
Absolutely. Very future focused, very legacy oriented.
Would you say that your peers feel similarly, or are you guys just kind of like unicorns that are just chilling in this world by yourself?
No. I think our peers, feel similar. Yeah. I think it's safe to say that for sure.
How do we get them? Because I think there's levels to everything in life, right? There's levels, and Pam, so you brought up a really good point. There's a lot of stuff that's happening in a young person's life. I mean, if I try to remember back 30 years, but there's stuff that happens. So how do you? I mean, you're living this example, but if you could sit at this table with two other people who are maybe 3, 4, 5 years behind you, what do you tell them?
Well, you want me to take it?
Go for it.
Listen, for the people who are behind me, I tell them to start now. Start with where they are.
I like it.
So to start charting their course right where they are, think about the things that they love, the things that they enjoy, the things that they don't enjoy, kind of just leaning into that, feeling that, knowing yourself, and deciding, okay, well, I want to go this route, or I have options to go this way. And then talk to people, talk to mentors. I really, really believe that there is just a group of people out there who's willing to share their knowledge.
Yeah.
They're willing to share their experience. They are willing to help you chart your own course. But you have to be vulnerable. You have to ask. You have to share what it is that you don't know. And then you have to allow them to come in and help you. So that's
I like
what I
that.
would do. Yeah.
That last piece is really important too,
It
right?
is.
Being vulnerable enough to allow people to come and
Yes.
actually be like, I can do this.
And I know it's not a wellness episode, but I do tend to join everything to the wellness theme overall because,
like turns out it's all connected.
It is,
Well, I would think you guys, with what you're already doing, and I know you have a family, and
I do too.
So I mean, there's a lot of things that could just kind of be extremely chaotic, and you could suffer burnout almost faster.
Very true.
And so you mentioned that balance, and it would be interesting to hear how you do all of the things that you do and still maintain that balance.
It's not easy, and it's not always perfect either. There's times where it doesn't go well and you're not in balance, but you have to, look back to your family, look back to your support system, and figure out how to pick yourself back up and rely on those that you're surrounding yourself with. And I'm very blessed to have a very supportive wife that can be there for my kids right now. So, we're here at SmileCon, and I brought my parents down too. So my parents are at the hotel with the kids and my wife so that I can be here and doing what we're doing here. And I wouldn't be able to do that without the support system at home. So, the whole it takes a village. I'm not doing this on my own.
I know that's right. And, for me, I always believe in balance. I look at it this way. It's like we have multiple balls in the air, right? We're juggling. So it's kind of like you don't want to let one fall, And so I think leaning on those family members, people who are there to support you, your friends, your colleagues, I think that really is what equips me to continue doing it all.
Okay, so first of all, shout out Francesca. And I hope I get to meet you like you're I'm not going to say better half, but we say that when we're by ourselves because
right.
it makes it feel better.
Yes.
But so there's a lot of people in this world, I think, who don't have that person.
Yeah.
So if you don't have that person in your personal life, like how do you find that person in your professional life, or those people who can help rally you when it's hard? Because it's easy for us to be here with smiles on our faces right now, but it's not all smiles all the time. That's not life. Like, how do you find those people?
I think it goes back to vulnerability. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like just making yourself available too. You know, in order to have a friend, you must first show yourself friendly. You know, so I think like just making yourself vulnerable, reaching out to people, joining study clubs, like that's an option for professional. Being here, taking CE. Once you start seeing familiar faces, like making contacts. Being willing to lower your guard and say, hey, I'm so and so. Introduce yourself. I think that's a good start.
It's a great start.
Yeah.
What about you, James?
I found building my network, whether it was through the ADA, through Ignite DDS, or through when I did my continuing education, there were a group of us that did the Dawson Academy curriculum together.
Ooh, I love that.
We have that group thread where we're sending questions back and forth and
Constantly.
sharing cases with each other. And, it's evolved beyond just clinical. It's a friendship where we're sharing pictures of our families or what's going on well in our lives, what's not going well in our life. We're there for each other. Look to where you're at right now and see what those people could look like.
There you go.
So you're almost carving out your own network and your own people. David and I talk about this all the time, that we see these social media threads and groups that are out there, and sometimes the advice is just not good and just kind of wrong. And I feel like I'm kind of old enough to be like, all right, it's, BS. I just kind of look past it and move on. Or sometimes I can't look away because it's so stupid. I mean, depends on the moment.
Train wrecks.
Yes. But I feel like I worry sometimes that a younger dentist is going to read this and take this as gospel when it might be, what's my truth is right for me, but it's not necessarily correct universally.
Yeah.
But you guys are not necessarily diving into that world. Then you're kind of creating your own network of mentors and colleagues and people that you trust. And so maybe we don't have to worry as much as we do.
So that's a great point and an interesting segue to how do you deal with this world of social media that is in your face and all the noise that's out there? How do you pull the goodness from it, yet unplug yourself from the downside?
You look at all these amazing dentists out there who are putting out beautiful photos and beautiful cases, and it's easy to look at that and say, why am I not doing that? Or why do my cases not look like that? And for me, it became more of a challenge of saying, all right, well, they didn't get there overnight. When they were 5 years out, 6 years out, 7 years out of school, they probably were not doing that level of dentistry that they're now doing 20 years in. So it's reverse engineering that equation to say, this is where they learned, this is how they grew their skill set, and I need to grow into that. And that change does not happen overnight. And to not set unrealistic expectations, but still push yourself to get to that level if that's something that makes you passionate or drives you forward.
Yeah.
For me, let's see. I tend to protect my mental health in a way that it sounds really selfish, but so I tend to not view comments too much on social media.
I like that.
I tend to not just go to someone's profile if just to keep me from falling into the comparison trap. So that's one way that I kind of stay on the straight and narrow, if you will, and not get sucked into the noise. But of course, I'm on there all the time. So I do see comments. I do look at data. I do look at numbers. But I try and keep my mindset pointed in the direction of growth. And so I look at it from a growth perspective, as in I want to, if I achieve this, then I want to achieve that. Or I say, oh my gosh, I want to celebrate this person for all that they're doing that's positive right now in their professional life. And maybe I can glean from them as well.
I think that's great. So I don't know if you guys know Joshua Austin. He's one of my faves. And he does something which I thought was really interesting, where he will allow himself to be on social media the number of minutes he's worked out that day.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Great
I've
idea.
heard that before.
That's
I've heard that
good.
before.
Yeah.
So 0
I don't
minutes.
do that.
I've heard that before.
You'd
It's
never see
awesome.
me again.
Where did Pam go?
She died. No, she didn't. She just didn't work out. No, I mean, it's basically what it, there's really great ways to achieve that mental balance and that balance there. I'd like to dig a little deeper into your story here. You graduated in 2016, but bought into the practice in 2019.
Correct.
That's 3 years. That seems unusual nowadays, right? Because I think a lot of people are like, I just need to get a job. I need to pay my loans down. I'm going to join a DSO so I can pay my loans down. but you went a different path.
So I actually looked at the practice that Dr. Rice had and said, I want that type of practice. How do I get there quickly? So when I was in my residency, I started networking with my local dentist. I actually went to a local ADA meeting, and we had a speed dating event where you could meet the local dentists in your area who are hiring. And I went to all of them and said, I want to be an owner in the next 2 years. And if that's someone you're looking for, if you're looking for a partner or someone to buy you out, then let's talk. If you're just looking for an associate that's going to be your associate for years, that's not a good fit for me. So narrowed down those practices to a few that I was really serious about. And I kind of took an aggressive approach where I actually asked for 3 years of financials on the practice as an associate, to say, if I'm going to come in and work for you with the intent of buying in a couple of years, I want to know what those numbers in the office look now, to know if this is a practice I want to join as an associate, because I want to join the practice I'm going to buy. And so I can start building those relationships with the patients and creating that network and building my reputation in the community, so I'm not having to start over at day one and use that associateship as a springboard to another associateship or to another one, which is not necessarily a bad path if you don't know what you want. But if you know what you want, who's to say you have to wait for it?
I love that.
That's really good. Yeah, that's actually advice for me, because I moved from one associateship to another associateship, and so that's actually good for me to take in. So yeah, thank you. I have some good questions that I can ask.
We'll talk after.
Okay.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, but so you went from one associateship to another, but
Yeah.
clearly you are on a different path than most young dentists. So how do you, as an associate, build this life? Because I think it's about life, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about being a dentist. It's about life, and it's about joy and doing great things.
Yeah.
So with your path, how do you carve out time and have this joy and passion that you have? No, seriously, that you have
I don't know.
to do all these things. How do you balance it?
You know what? Okay, so let me take a couple steps back. It's so funny that everybody says I'm on this different track. I would love to know what that track is, but I'm still figuring out that track. By the way, believe it or not, I think I'm just now realizing it. The lights are coming on, but balancing it all. I have wonderful support at home. I do lean and depend on my husband to help me a lot, and I'm a verbal processor, so I talk to him about when I'm stressed or when something's not working out, or did I say yes to this, or should I not have done that? And so I kind of use him for as a sounding board, you know what I mean? To just say, hey, help me with this, help me make a good decision, because part of enjoying all of these things and that whole life piece is making sure that a good decision was made. You know what I mean? So for me, I was saying this on an earlier podcast, that if I can't finish a thing, that stresses me out more than not doing a thing. So I like to finish what I start. And so I think I'm able to have a lot of joy just knowing that I'm bringing some projects to completion.
So you've had to learn how to say no early on.
Yes. And I'm learning even more now. Yeah.
Those are great lessons.
Yeah, they are.
So I think about my career, and mine was an evolution. I never had a plan, I'm going to be the editor of dental economics. That was never, ever, in my initial plans back in the day. But things kind of evolved and took turns and everything else. But you guys seem to be a little bit more plan-oriented and have have a direct idea. Where do you see yourselves going? What's your goal?
Well, that's a loaded question.
Yeah, I know.
Yes. Welcome to Dentistry Unmasked.
Right. Well, see, I feel like I'm just still so early in my career that I still have a few different pathways. So I don't know. I love all of the social media things that I'm doing, but I do struggle back and forth with the whole idea of being an influencer. That's been an ongoing struggle, because I'm all right, well, I'm a doctor. As if I feel like sometimes I compare it to the point where I'm well, being a social media influencer is more supreme than being a doctor. You know what I mean? And so it's just a little mindset shift that I need to take. But I don't know. You know what I mean?
You're at the right table, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
We had this discussion.
Oh, really?
Pam and I have this discussion weekly.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
We do.
For me, it's, I kind of see 4 different tracks in my life. I have my family track, and raising my 2 kids and being there and being present as a dad is, I think, the most important thing in my life. And then the other things, flow into that and support that, and it's my practice, growing my experience as a dentist, providing complete care. I finished the Dawson Academy, so doing some bigger cases, some more complex cases, continuing to grow that in my practice, and seeing less patients but more comprehensively on a professional level. And then the other 2 tracks are the leadership track with the ADA. Next couple of years, I'll be chair of the ADA New Dentist Committee in a couple of years, so that's an exciting opportunity to help shape the future of dentistry and support my peers. And then the last track is kind of my educational role in working with David, or Dr. Rice, with Ignite, and creating content and education to help other dental students and new dentists hopefully speed up that path of learning so they don't have to overcome as many hurdles. So those are kind of the 4 paths that I'm going down right now simultaneously.
I think that's interesting because nobody can tell their future. You don't really know. But it's interesting that you've got these silos, if you will. I just feel like I just wake up in the morning and see where the day takes me.
You're winging it?
I do.
I love it.
You are, yeah. Well, your version of winging it, different to be, seriously, how many people do we all meet every day who wake up and you?
Well, no, but there's only one you. There's only, whatever. But I feel like what served me really well was to never say no to something because of fear. That was my one thing. You can say no because of any other reason, but for me, if somebody asked me to do something and my first thing was to wince because I'm scared of it, then I'm doing it.
Oh, I love that. Okay, here's a vulnerable question. What's something you're afraid of that maybe you said yes to and we're super nervous, or maybe you just said I'm not doing it? Ooh, that's kind of no. Yes, you.
I have one.
With the red hair.
I'm a moron. So back when I was in Japan last year, I promised somebody that I would give my next lecture for them in 2026 in Japanese.
Oh, I remember you sharing that promise. And I thought, oh my God, I need to level my game up.
So
how's that going?
Not that well, but it's going to. I promise. I need to get back to my classes. Yeah. But so I need to spend the next few years studying Japanese so I can deliver a 45-minute lecture in Japanese.
It's out of control.
Wow. Yeah.
In such a great way.
That's heavy.
I know, but I feel like I've been lecturing for so long and I enjoy doing it that it doesn't scare me anymore. My heart doesn't pound, and I feel like I wanted something that would make it pound. So sometimes I lecture in 4-inch heels just to make sure I don't fall, whatever. I do something to get the adrenaline going. And I was like, you know what? I'll agree to doing this in Japanese. Let's see how that goes.
All right. So good. We got the fear question out of the way. You shared yours. Do you have one?
Yeah. So, initially it was, was I going to run for the vice chair of the new dentist committee? Originally when I took on the role representing New York, originally when I joined the NDC, we talked about that balance in your life and trying to figure out, what you can take on and what you can't. And I said to my wife, I don't think I'm going to run for any bigger position. I don't have any goals to take that on. But I've always been of the perspective that if I felt like I could serve and give something back and the opportunity presented itself where I could contribute, then I felt like it was my duty to do so. And that opportunity came forward a couple years later. And it's a little scary to take on that level of a leadership role. And it was taking me outside of my comfort zone. So it was an area of, something where I had to grow as a leader and as a professional to take that on. But it's a challenge, and I'm excited to step into that role and to represent my peers.
I love it. So I was totally afraid to speak in public.
Really?
Totally. I am, my former self is an introvert. And I remember literally in high school being super shy and thinking when I go to college, nobody knows me, so I can be whoever I want. So I'm going to go there and be a different version of myself. So I did that in college. And then in dental school, I think I woke up one day and I'm like, wow, I was such a buffoon in undergrad that I could be smart and get good grades, but I could be super fun because of dental school. And then, I just thought, I'm going to try this speaking thing because I was petrified to do it. And then one day woke up and thought, well, this is really a blast, which I think is a great lesson to people. From your story to ArNelle's and all of our stories is like sometimes you just have to jump in the deep end and know the parachute's going to open and it's going to work.
And if it doesn't open, who cares? Do something else. If it doesn't make you happy, it doesn't spark joy, or if it's just not the right fit for you, or you're just not good at it, do something else.
That's a great point in dentistry, right? So we have a DDS or a DMD, and no matter what it is in life we try and do and all the things, like we have this incredible degree to fall back on and be a dentist and all the other things we get to try and be a part of. We can explore and adventure and all those things. Yeah. You've done some pretty damn cool things, James.
It's been a fun ride.
I can't wait to see what's to come.
I can't either. Seriously. I don't know. In the last 30 minutes, what I've learned is you and ArNelle are definitively planners. You are organizationally different, and you have structure, and I feel like that has definitely set you guys apart. It took me too long to get where I've got. You two have clearly fast-tracked life because you had a plan.
Set those goals.
All right, so you're giving advice to somebody who's a third year or fourth year or first year out of school. What do they have to do right now?
Right now is look at where you want to be in 5 years and 10 years and find someone that is at that place in their life and ask them for help. Talk to them, take them out to dinner, have a phone call with them, and figure out what they did and what worked well and what didn't. Learn from them, getting into that mentorship. And then the second is learn as much as you can clinically to be the best dentist that you can be. So taking high quality CE just to continue to elevate your skill set, because that's going to support all of the other aspects of your life.
Yeah, I love that so much. Pam?
Great advice.
Thank you.
Love it. Well, here we are again, out of time.
I know. Crazy talk. 30 minutes. Sprints.
How do people follow you?
I am Dr. Wanamaker on Instagram.
Follow him there, people. He's going to hit the stars soon.
Yeah. Till next time, Dentistry Unmasked. Peace out, people.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone, for watching or listening to the show this week, and thanks to our guests and sponsors on this episode.
Please check out our social media at Dr. Pamela_Maragliano and at Dental Economics Official.
Or you can check me out at Ignite DDS or at Dr. David Rice.
And go to dentaleconomics.com to receive dental economics. You can choose to receive DE in print or digitally, and you can also get the details of our Principles of Practice Management conference on our website.
If you have topics or guests or anything you'd like to talk about on the show, send us an email to dentistryunmaskedpodcast@gmail.com, and we will do our very best to make it happen. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week.